Welcome to Tasty Jamz, a video podcast for rock and metal musicians, where each week we feature new bands to showcase their music and hear their stories so that you can get you and your band out of the garage and onto the main stage. So what is going on, guys? What's up? Welcome to Tasty Jamz, episode 2.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
This is it's been a blast, and I think after the very first episode, we kind of got to work through little kinks on kickstarting the show, and everything's running great, and had a lot of positive feedback through a lot of the community. Talked to some of the guys at Capone's. They were very supportive of it. They were like, "Well, this is probably one of the best things you can do for a local community," and we're all trying to help get everything going. So today, if you don't know, I am with Arm the Witness. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Doing well. What's up?
So if you want to introduce yourselves on down the line, go ahead.
Okay. My name is Logan. I am the singer for Arm the Witness.
My name is Mason. I'm the drummer.
My name is Aiden. I'm the harsh vocalist for Arm the Witness.
My name is Trevor. I play lead guitar.
And Timmy, I play bass.
Cool.
We're missing a guy.
Yep, and then you're missing the guitarist, right?
Missing a guy that's at work.
Cool.
Yep.
Missing
Yep, I understand how that goes for sure. So last week on the episode, we talked about forming a band. Getting to the part when you're ready. You want to form a band, how you go about it, as far as using like multiple media and stuff like that. And we're gonna kind of continue off of that discussion a little bit. But really, when you're searching for or forming a band, how do you communicate the style that you're going for when it comes into forming a band? Because everybody's got, even though you might have similar styles, even the little differences make up what exactly your sound comes from. So like when do you have a sound in mind when you're going for it when you're trying to start a band, or is it more or less like you just let it develop on its own? What do you kind of do on that, really?
Whenever we started this band, my brother and I were the original members. We had been in bands previously. We've been playing in and out of bands since we were 12. So we played pop punk before.
Nice.
Led worship at a church for a little while. While we were at the church, we kind of decided that really into bands like Under Oath and Inhale, Exhale, things of that nature. So we kind of had the discussion, and this was definitely the direction that we wanted to go. Okay. So with that being said, we just kind of found some like-minded people, and we've had some lineup changes along the way, but I would say that, first and foremost, we let everybody know exactly what we were going for, and I think that everybody was down for it. So then we just kind of, pieces fell into place, and here we are.
Nice. Yeah. So you mentioned pop punk earlier. How does pop punk really work with metal? Because I know metal's an intense crowd. I mean, if you've seen Slayer live or go to a Slayer show, it's pretty intense. And the pop punk is kind of newer or more modern. Hasn't really been in metal too much, but in the same sense, it kind of has. If you look at like the '80s hair bands and stuff, it was kind of just a different style of pop mixed with it. I guess you would call glam or anything like that. So really, how does pop punk work with modern metal now?
First of all, pop punk was extremely fun to play live. It was a blast. But for us, it wasn't really that hard of a transition. A lot of our choruses are a little poppier, so I guess that kind of originates from whenever we used to play pop punk. Mm-hmm. Honestly, it wasn't a very hard change at all.
It wasn't hard at all?
No.
You ever get any backlash from some of the, I'm a hard metal guy, and those guys?
Oh, yeah. There's definitely some of that, it seems like, but I think that where, pop punk and metal are somewhat of underground genres at times, and it just kind of helps us mesh together, both being the underdogs a lot of times.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, definitely on this episode, you want to stick around. In this middle of this episode, we're actually going to be showcasing their latest music video that they filmed here at Quantum Ascension Studios, and it was actually really awesome. So hopefully you guys can stick around and check it out, and stick around later for this episode because we're going to see another acoustic performance, and I cannot wait to see that. So one of the cool things about seeing acoustic performances is it's a unique performance every time, almost, especially when you film something live, and so it's not necessarily something you're just going to get on a bonus track of a CD usually. You have to usually go out and catch it. So you got the pop punk in going into metal, right? So how is that really different as far as like the technicality wise? Is it the same? Do you guys use electronic stuff with your music and stuff? Because I mean, I've heard a little bit of backing tracks, like adding electronic stuff. Do you bring a laptop on stage, or how is that done?
We have a it's like a little tablet that we bring with us.
Okay.
So once we go to the recording studio, they send us what's called stems.
Okay.
And it's just pretty much all of the sounds that we used kind of backing the music and everything. That way when we play live, we can actually replicate the sound as close to the CD as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, I use we've had to use MP3 players or CD players, tape cassettes, or anything on stage, and you have to time that up. So how does that work with the metronome with the drummer? Like,
he's the only one that hears the metronome.
Yeah. Okay.
If you ever catch our live set, you will see our drummer, and he will have earpieces in his ear. For now, yeah. He is the only one that is listening to a click track, and he's pretty much the time and the rhythm. If he was like horrible on a metronome, then we would not sound tight live at all.
So like when you play the intro to a song, let's say it has like your intro, you just hit play on the thing, and then how do you time that with your metronome? Or
normally I'll give myself about 2 measures, kind of a lead in, and sometimes the metronomes just go on at all times. We practiced it so much that, you know, even if I didn't have a lead in or anything, we would probably still be able to make our mark pretty much every time.
So, and you guys played Warped Tour, right?
Yeah. We did.
So how was the monitoring on stage there? Did everybody have in-ear monitors? Because I know those are some pretty massive stages. Was everybody monitoring on that?
It's honestly, you know, I love Warped Tour to death, but that's something that seems like the monitors on stage, a lot of times you can't hear yourself as what everybody's hearing out there. We don't have in-ears or anything, same exact as we would be anywhere else. You know, just he's running the click metronome in his ear. And like I said, a lot of times you kind of can't hear exactly what everybody's hearing out there. It's just like being at any other venue, really.
The rest of it's just us going off of him, basically.
Exactly.
Nice.
Like
That's pretty cool, because I played a lot of shows where monitors were a nightmare. And unfortunately, I never had the opportunity to work with in-ear monitors or anything, because we never really played it at a place that really needed it too much. Although we probably did, because it was just a wall of sound behind us, and it was just, you get lost in that adrenaline, and it's all just muscle memory at that point. You know, I mean, you're just listening to the drummer. You kind of zone out what you're listening for, and but I know as a vocalist, having those monitors is super important, because if not, you can blow out your voice really easy. A lot of people don't realize that you can do that. And I've heard some people like cover their ear or something like that when they're screaming, so they can kind of hear their own voice ring inside their head, so they can kind of get away that way.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I do quite a bit, especially at practice. A lot of times, you know, our monitors may be pretty good at the venue that we're at, so I can hear everything and know what to go off of. But there have definitely been times when, you know, me and Logan both hear no monitors really at all, or not much sound coming out of them, and not the best sound person to turn it up when you need them to, and you kind of don't know what to go off of, because like you said, you just hear that wall of sound behind you, and it's easy to get lost in that without any monitors at all to have any kind of cues of when to come in, and you just kind of got to fill it out if that's the situation you're in.
So one of the things, because you're looking at setting up a stage, and obviously you have your sound check, but really the sound check is really just kind of making sure your levels are right, making sure everything's going. But as far as equipment set up and making sure everything's set up, preparation to me is one of the most important things to making sure you have a good live sound or a good setup. So, but at practice, a lot of people tend to practice differently than they play live. We always tried, in my last band I was in, we always tried to play standing up and practice the way we would perform, the way we kind of got more natural at it. So what do you say to that? Is there really a advantage to doing that, practicing like you would play live?
Absolutely. Every time that we practice, we always completely set everything up from scratch. Same thing whenever we are finished. We completely break everything down and put it in the cases. A lot of times, especially if you're playing somewhere like Warped Tour, or you just want to battle of the bands, it's not just your performance that matters. They'll actually go through and they will check all of your times of how long it took you to set up, how long it took you to be in your sound check. Did you stay on your set time exactly to the T? How long did it take you to break down? There's really is a lot that goes into it, a lot more than what people would think. So as far as our setup, we've tried to simplify everything as much as we possibly can. We've got a a hard case that has everything for our guitars in it, already set up, from our wireless systems to our bass amp to our Axe effects for our 2 guitars. So really, the only thing that we're carrying in is our cabinets, that one big case, and then the drums. That way it's super easy for us. All the cables are already there. You just pretty much plug and play. It just makes
you guys got it down.
it's super simple. We've been around a while, so
I can't tell you how many times we played to a kind of a stopwatch to see exactly how long our set was.
I mean, we go through, we'll practice just like that. We'll practice to a stopwatch to make sure our set times are good. We've even went as far as to practice our entrance into the venue, getting our gear there, putting it on stage, and taking it off all in one, the set with setup and tear down and everything, just to make sure that we're good and don't obviously have any points docked or anything like that for taking too long.
Oh, there was one time we were playing a Battle of the Bands. We were trying to get, it was actually for Warped Tour, and we were trying to get kind of in tune with how hot it was going to be. So not only did we do all of our setup and breakdown, but we cranked the heat to like 90 in our practice space.
Ever.
Sweat, man, it was sweaty.
And we're always trying to improve on our setup and breakdown time and everything with that. So every time that we do it, we try to do something that could potentially help or possibly hurt, and then we cut that if it hurts.
I see a lot of bands always tweaking with their gear and stuff in between songs, and just as soon as the song's over, they run back to their amp and they're sitting there messing with it, maybe tuning and stuff like that. And it's like, wouldn't you do all that before you would
set it,
get in there? That way you could have more crowd interaction in between the songs and less amp interaction, or sitting there tweaking out stuff. Now, I understand if it's something like your double bass pedal just falls off or something. That's happened.
Technical difficulties.
I've seen that before. You're going to have technical difficulties. So what do you say what do you do when you have technical difficulties on stage? Because it happens a lot. It's happened to me. And I always just try to pretend like nothing happens and just continue with the show, until that song's at least done.
See, I guess a lot of times what I like to do, people don't necessarily, everybody knows that you're human and you're not perfect, you know what I mean? And bands mess up at times. It's when you make a big scene, like, it's a major problem that something happened, equipment's going to mess up. A lot of times I like to play it off, with everyone and explain to them at times, maybe having technical difficulties, but I still interact with them, and Logan, we still both interact with them while everybody's getting whatever it is fixed. Hopefully if it's not a mic issue, then we just got to kind of yell out in the crowd and hope they hear us. But
I've seen bands where this mic just not work. You have to go to another mic
or like breaking a string on stage.
Yeah.
Remember when I did that?
That's happened a lot.
It happens.
If I had $1 for every time that Mason cracked his snare drum head in the middle of a set.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've also seen the beater pedals go straight through the kick drum.
I've
seen that happen a lot. Pedals falling off or just completely coming apart. Cracking cymbals is pretty normal, or a cymbal stand falling over. Most people are using racks nowadays, so the cymbal stands don't fall over. It's all in one set, which makes a big difference. So what is considered stage-worthy gear in today's music scene? For the music that you guys playing, like, what is acceptable, what's not acceptable?
I mean, there's tons of stuff that are acceptable. For us, we just prefer the sound of an Ampeg 8x10, and I think you've got the SVT 8 Pro, right? Not Pro?
I think so. SVT8 Pro.
We like Ampeg a lot. Ampeg's got a really great sound for metalcore. We run Axe effects now. We ran some tube amps for a while. Love the sound of a tube amp. Love the simplicity of an Axe effects though. So we actually run the Axe effects 2 for both of our guitars. 2 Pro for both of our guitars. For our cabinets, we ran Mesa for a while. I really like Mesa. Mesa sounds great. Now we have went with Orange. They've just got a little more of a bassier tone to it, and we do play in a drop tuning, so it really is. It's there every time that we need it.
That a little bit better. Yeah, because I've been using Mesa cabs for a long time, and always love those. But there's also a lot of other amps that give it different dynamic sounds. So really, it's all about your unique sound that you're using a cab for, because the cab does make a huge difference. I mean, it's just as much of the tone as your amp itself is.
I agree. As far as microphones, we run wireless microphones, and I really enjoy Shure. So we're running the Shure SM58s right now. We take those everywhere that we go. never had a microphone that I like better. I had an Audio Technica one time that I really enjoyed. I don't know. The Shure came in.
And Shure's, a couple Audio Technicas, but yeah, Shure's always like kind of like the standard for every vocalist I've ever seen. It just
it's just got
great.
that clarity, especially where I do harsh vocals. It seems like I can hear a lot more of my tone whenever I'm using that mic versus any other mic that I would use. And having wireless, we got 6 members in our band and we move around a lot, so it's having wireless really helps out. And
so even for hard vocals, you still use the SM58?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I've seen some people use the SM57 instrument mics on vocals a lot, and even on the package it says it's a vocal microphone. And why would anybody use the SM57 for vocals? I really don't know.
It picks up a lot more than just the vocals is my only thing with it.
It picks up a lot of that low end that you really would normally cut out. Anyway, so
you get a lot of your stage volume bleeding through.
Okay.
Yeah,
those are hot mics. They pick up a lot of stuff. So as far as for screams and hard vocals, how do you prepare your voice, throat, diaphragm, how do you prepare that for the stage?
To be honest, I start the day with singing. Before I do anything, I try to warm my voice up. I'm a bass, so I usually sing stuff that's lower to get me really warmed up. I try to honestly talk quite a bit before I go on. That way I'm warmed up, and whenever I go out there, I just let loose, and I don't really know what singing had to do with it, but anytime I warm up way beforehand and do a little bit of singing, it helps out.
Your voice a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because a lot of it, a lot of screaming, especially technique-wise, is very similar to singing.
Okay.
To me, at least, that's how I get through everything without damaging my voice at all.
Yeah, so I've watched Melissa Cross's The Zen of Screaming in 1 and 2, and she has a lot of these warm-up techniques that they do, and one of them is humming.
Yep.
Just like like that.
Yeah.
And it's really, you can push it really hard without hurting the throat and everything, and it just kind of opens up the pathways for those heavy vocals.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, when you scream, it's usually from your diaphragm. And you have some people that just can't project, and that's because they're using the throat. And you see it on the news a lot about developing spots for throat cancer and stuff just by people blowing out their voice. Corey Taylor, he was talking about it quite a bit. I think Jesse Leach from Killswitch Engage has had issues with it. It's a serious thing, and it can end your career if you don't really take that seriously. So I highly recommend doing a good proper warm-up. If you haven't checked out The Zen of Screaming by Melissa Cross, get online, order the DVD. It's pretty cheap, and it's well worth it because she gives lots of tips and tricks for screaming for sure.
And see, it's pretty funny you say that you mentioned her, actually, because I grew up probably 12, 13 years old. That's what I watched a lot of times. That's what my friends showed me, this whenever I was learning to scream, that's what they wanted me to, go off of. I applied a lot of those warm-ups and techniques in everything I've done since then, and I've actually been in contact with her recently, and I believe sometime in August me and Logan will be going up and doing vocal lessons with her.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited on that because
really cool.
That's a big dream mark, what I mean, for me.
Yeah, she'd be an interesting person to meet for sure.
Yeah.
Just gotta listen to her because
that's exactly
it.
Yeah.
I can see her really laying it down.
Yeah.
So as far as clean vocals, how do you warm up that way?
I always start with my lower octave first. I do have some really high-pitched vocals, so a lot of times if I try to start with higher pitch, I'll just end up hurting my throat. So I start with my lower octave first, and then I kind of work in a medium octave, and then I do what I call sirens, which is stretching my range as high as I can go, as low as I can go, over and over again. And I'll also warm up my falsetto. I've just noticed that whenever I warm up my falsetto, it helps a lot with my lower range, especially after warming it up first. I generally take maybe about 30 minutes warming up before a set, and then I like to kind of chill and not talk for like 15 minutes and just kind of let all that soak in.
Okay.
And then I usually just run through maybe 2 or 3 songs of my favorite artist. And usually I'm good to go by that point.
So I made a mistake one time. I was playing in a band, I was playing guitar and singing. I took a nap right before the show. Or it wasn't even a show, it was a practice, I'm sorry, but the stage was like a show pretty much. And I took a nap before it, and went in there and went to go belt it out, and my voice just went crack. I mean, it just I think we were playing Waking the Demon by Bullet for My Valentine, and it just completely cracked out. And then like the rest of the song was just trash. I mean, it just sounded awful. So I learned that you do have to take a lot of time and warm your voice up before you actually get on stage and play, or even at practice or anything like that. It's always just a good habit to get into.
Yeah.
Even throughout the day, if you know anybody that works with a lot of people that socialize a lot, by the end of the day, you are better at socializing than you were at the beginning of the day, just because you've done it all day. That you've exercised your voice, your pronunciation, vocabulary. You just kind of get your mental aptitude more toward that, and then by the end of the day, you don't have to think of it. It just kind of comes natural.
Yeah.
But, taking a nap kind of resets your throat, resets your voice.
It resets everything.
Yeah, it kind of does for sure. So talk about the music video a little bit. So you guys have a new album that just came out, right?
Oh, no, it's actually just coming out on July 13th.
Okay, coming out
next
July
Friday.
13th.
Yep.
Okay, and then you have a show that's right after that?
Yeah, on July 14th at Capone's with Something Clever and Never I. They're two good bands that are good friends of ours from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah. So going back to the stage setup thing, right? What is your absolute, like, step-by-step method? You get to the venue, what's the first thing you do?
I usually just don't do anything, and these guys do everything for me.
Yeah, you're
I just sit
pretty
around.
lazy, so the rest of us kind of pick up your slack.
There you go.
For me as a drummer, I always like to get everything set up, kind of the levels that I'm going to be playing, make sure my toms are all even and everything. When we actually go to load on stage, the drums are always the first thing that we take because they kind of take the longest to set up. I have the backing tracks too that I like to set up, so generally we do drums first, then we kind of move on to the cabinets and the axe effects and everything else.
Nice.
But we kind of do it all as a team, excluding Aiden because he's lazy.
Yeah.
But
I think giving you hell, you better step
I
it
just
up.
show up whenever they start playing. Sound check comes in. I'm like, all right, I'm here.
Then. So
Step
you
up
like
on.
when you get to the venue, do you at least let them know you're there, or who's your contact?
Yeah.
or
That's
they just
that's
kind of
the
know
thing.
you're there.
That's pretty much that's what I do. I run in. I'm like,
That's
hey, we're
his
here.
So
job.
you're the
Rest
social.
of
You're
us
the
is
social
like
butterfly.
Carrying everything.
Okay.
Say, where do we set our merch up at? And then I get hang out there for a bit. And
Okay.
I'm done after 5 minutes, and they're over here.
then you
pulling
can find
everything
him at the bar.
Yeah, a lot of times.
God almighty. Yeah. I always had issues with a band that I was in, and trying to get everybody on the same page. Everybody knew how to set their stuff up, but when you got something set up, then we try to move on and help the next person set up, and it just cuts down on a lot of time. So teamwork is definitely a huge important factor for sure.
Yeah, that's what I always say whenever I do help out a little bit. I always say, just everybody grab 2 pieces of drums and pull them up on stage, and then we get it up there quick. Rarely, though.
Rarely.
Keep in mind, that's very rarely.
So one of the next things is so speaking of like Battle of the Bands, right? So Battle of the Bands is kind of like a competition for sure, right? What about your every show? Every show that you play, it seems like it's a very competitive community, but at the same time, it's not competitive at all. You're kind of helping each other. What do you really say to that? Is it really competitive?
We try to not make it competitive because we host a lot of shows down in this area, and especially with bands in today's time, like show trading goes a long way. If we couldn't get in a venue because we've never played in, I don't know, let's say Texas, because we've never played there. If we did a Battle of the Bands or whatever, and this band's from Texas, like we're really cool with them. This is actually one of the ways that we got Never I to actually come and play on our CD release. They're an incredible band. They won the Battle of the Bands, the last one that we played at. And what was that one for?
Summer Slaughter.
Summer
Slaughter. They won that one, but we kind of, we were really cool with them. They were really cool with us. We kind of talked about show trading, and here they are coming down in this area. So, kindness goes a long way. It gets us places that we couldn't go normally. Same thing for them. We can always show trade and swap and kind of work with each other there.
Yeah. So, I always seen it as kind of like a, it's not competitive, but it is.
Yeah.
So, the show trading and stuff like that really has to be awesome. So, you do have to ensure that you're not being a dickhead to the other bands and shit.
Yeah.
It's worth more than the one show that you might win to play on, honestly.
Because we played some shows with some douchebags.
It happens, man. Tends to be the
there.
bigger bands we play with are that way.
Yep.
They got the big heads, I guess.
Ego kills talent.
Yeah.
It does. You see some people and just they get on there and they think they're headlining for Metallica or something. It's
Yeah.
like, that shit doesn't fly.
Yeah,
Not at least not in the metal community that I've seen so far.
Yeah.
It's a pretty hard community, and one thing they do not allow a lot of people to be disrespectful in the community. The other bands will let you know quick, and they will not play a show with you.
Yeah.
And if you don't have bands to play with, you don't have shows.
I mean, we're all trying to accomplish the same goal anyway, you know, so I never really understood the egotistical side of it.
Yeah, it seems to be that way in a lot of industries too. Everything's kind of competitive instead of collaborative like it should be.
Yeah.
You know, so Mora Collective, do you do some stuff with Mora?
We don't really talk about that. Nothing's on bad terms or anything really. I just kind of stepped away from that. It wasn't really in my best interest. It wasn't in the band's best interest at all to continue on. So we just kind of stepped away from all that, honestly, and keep pushing ourselves, you know, versus relying on somebody else to do it for us.
Absolutely. Got you on that one. So I guess we're going to wrap up the section. I want you guys to check out Arm the Witness's new music video, Newborn. So give us a check out and let us know what you think in the comments.
You should have seen it coming.
So yeah, make sure to leave it down in the comments below what you thought of that music video. I thought it was badass. I had a lot of fun helping you guys film it, and
Appreciate it.
that was absolutely a blast. A lot of hard work, as it took us 3 days.
Thank you
3 days work.
again.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for shooting that video. We appreciate it.
no
You and
problem,
Dark Star
really.
Films as well.
So actually, I want to take this time while we have it to discuss really why are music videos so important for bands, and what do you guys think on that? Why are they so important for marketability?
Yeah, I mean it really helps. You know, people like to have that imagery attachment to something when they watch it. You know, it really draws in people at times that may have not normally checked out your music because it may not be what they're into, but when they watch that video, you know, it really draws them in and makes them feel like a part of it more. And it helps build your fan base, like I said, you know, to people that maybe wouldn't normally draw them in. And then people that, you know, maybe they might check out your song once, but it gives them a reason to come back and watch it over and over again because it's exciting to them.
Yeah, like I said, when it comes to filming music videos, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. I mean, almost every band I come into, it's like we have to really explain to them what all is going to happen, how it's going to work, all the stuff that's going to go into it, because a lot of people think that, hey, they're just going to show up, shoot for a couple hours, and then that's it. And no.
Yes.
They're sadly mistaken.
Yeah, now as far as like biggest question I get asked all the time is how much. They'll come up to me, or they'll come up to Chelsea, my other partner-in-law. So, hey, how much would you shoot a music video for? And I'm like, well, what do you want? What kind of music video you want?
Yeah, exactly.
And then they're usually like, well, we got this one song we want to do it for, and we kind of got this. And it's like, yeah, you got to be specific. Like, I need to know really everything that goes into it. So what we do is set up a consultation. So we'll sit there and talk to you and really take a couple hours to get your vision of what you're wanting into it. And really trying to figure out exactly what you're going to get into it. Locations, props, everything from special effects, if there's fog machines, scheduling, we have to get the band there all on the same day, how many days we're going to shoot it, and then basically you'll go into your expenses from there. And some of that shit gets real expensive. So I know there was a couple of studios in Atlanta, Georgia that charged $10,000 minimum for a music video. And it if you ask me, it's a little overpriced, but depending on what you're going into music video, that might not even be that much, you know.
I mean, it's definitely, I mean, you know, honestly, I would say $10,000 is probably pretty close to industry standard when it comes to any kind of big producer going to do a music video. You know, you see pop artists and their music video budgets are $1 million, you know, and they're going out, you know, and there's so much that goes into it, you know, and everybody thinks, you know, you're charging $10,000 for, you know, just for them to come out and film. But in reality, you know, the $10,000 is maybe cover them to film, but locations, actors, you know, and that's when it gets even more pricey at times. It may be way over $10,000 when it comes to that.
Especially a lot of people want explosions and stunts, and pyrotechnics is the most expensive thing I've ever looked at in my life. And when you get the fire department involved with anything, you're paying up the ass. So back to kind of why music videos are important. The first thing I always do, if a band lets me, hey, you should check out my shit. All right, check out the song. All right, what's your name? What's the band's name? Now I'll look it up. First thing I do is get on YouTube and I check for content, you know. Now sometimes they don't have a music video. It might be just their track out there. You know, that's still something. You know, you have to have some way to showcase your music. And so really what you should have before a music video is obviously you need a studio production quality song. You know, your demo will not cut it for a music video. Do not make a music video for your demo. Because, I mean, if your audio is not 100% where you want it, your music video is going to kind of reflect that too. I made my very first music video with my friend Lee and, let's see, who else was it? My friend Austin and Samantha, and we all went out to the woods just to film a music video. And, you know, it kind of sounds stereotypical, but it had the location in mind. We planned it out, storyboarded it, how we're going to do it. And we went out there and did a cover song, and just I thought it was awesome. But it was also very overwhelming to see how much was actually going to go into it. Because we were literally had drum sets on dollies hiking a quarter mile up into the woods with all this equipment and gear, and we had to take several trips up there. It was a lot of work, and then we set up our lights, and we had a portable generator, fog machine going, and man, I had a blast. I realized, I was like, you know what, this was really hard, but at the final product of it is just so awesome. You know, one thing I wish that I would have done more on every single thing I've done is do behind the scenes on everything. So I could see all the stuff that goes into it, because that's where the fun's at.
We had a couple good behind the scenes for the video that we shot.
Nice.
We're still having laughs over them.
I've seen a few of them on Facebook. That's awesome. So I love it when a lot of film sets like you to keep it locked down to where they don't want anybody filming anything with the phones. I've never been like that. To me, build the hype all you want. This helps out. Now it's not like you're shooting a Star Wars film. You're giving away a
super spoiler, anything like that.
Super spoiler alert.
And we're not some kind of band, you know, that tries to be strictly exclusive. A lot of times, you know, we want to make all of our fans feel like they're a part of our journey, you know, and building everything, get to see the behind the scenes. That's helps build the hype, like you were saying.
Oh, they are the reason that we do what we do.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
That's the least we could do.
they're what keeps us going, man. Without them, we're just a bunch of sweaty dudes up there playing music. Let's be honest.
Then I think music videos has always been ever since music videos really came out, it's always kind of struck a image, especially metal, because metal's image is part of it. You're not just hearing the music, you're being a part of it. And when you go to the shows and you got strobe lights, you got the kick you to the chest, the mosh pit. I mean, it's just chaos, and I think that's what makes it so special. Is because there's an imagery, there's a feeling, there's a passion with it, and I think in a music video it kind of shows that sometimes. And you got lots of different type of music videos too. You got some of them that won't even have the band members at all. They just kind of write some kind of interesting story to go with it. I like to see the instruments as well as like a story conveyed through it. And it makes the music video go a long ways. But so yeah, on the cost of music videos, about $10,000 is you would say like industry standard for a lot of bigger studios. So let's talk about like music videos on a budget. All right, so if you're on a budget, realistically, what you put into the music video is what it's going to outcome. And it's not talking about going out and getting super expensive cameras. It's got to do more or less with the creativity and using what you have to go through with it. If you slap it together, a music video one day, and let's say you shoot for 6 hours and slap it together, you might get a decent music video depending on what you do. But sometimes,
it's going to take a lot of work.
You really got to bust ass that day. So just so anybody knows watching this, it is 4th of July and it's hot as fuck. So,
it is.
It's hot as hell in here. If you haven't seen us, we're sweating. It's a little warm in the studio today. It's
record breaking.
It's record breaking temperatures today, and it's been everything to really keep it cool today. So yeah, like here at Tasty Jamz, we're obviously going to be doing this every week. So we'll be filming on Wednesdays, and your show will be coming out on Fridays. And if you want your band to come on the show, holler at me. If you got a Wednesday available, we can probably sign you in here. We got a lot of upcoming dates coming out, so yeah, keep checking with us on that. So one of the main questions I get asked a lot, because I tend to be a leader in a lot of stuff I do, typically because I'm the one that takes the initiative and steps up and nobody else does. How does leadership work in a band? I mean, bringing it to the table, is there any one of you that's a leader here? Or are you all leaders, or how's that work?
It really depends on like what topic. We kind of all
I think in a way we're kind of all leaders.
Yeah, we do we do leadership
aspects.
in different ways. I mean, if you're talking about actually writing music, there's different leaders that are going to be bringing music to the table. If you're talking about like social media, for instance, like I suck at social media, so a lot of times Aiden will take over in that aspect, and everybody gets like a to-do list type deal, like, hey, this is what we need done, this, and this. So it really just depends on what aspect you're talking about. It can be super overwhelming for one person to do all the leadership in a band. Especially, we've got 6 people in our band. So if you look at one person writing the music, one person writing the lyrics, one person getting the studio dates together. As far as Aiden, he pretty much put the whole music video together, and I know that was super stressful. Cody did the majority of the editing for it. So if you don't kind of divide, it's like what we were saying earlier as far as like teamwork. If you don't have any teamwork, you're not really going to have a band. I mean, it's super hard to make everything work.
It's very much a divide and conquer type thing.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because I see a lot of bands that will have a leader that usually kind of oversteps the boundaries, and he just appoints himself as that leader. And I think unless another band member really steps up and shows that he can rival that, or wants to help take some responsibility from him,
kind of falls
usually
into
it's gonna just fall in that way naturally. And it's not just you have a follower and your leader. You work as a team effort through everything. And if you do have somebody in your band that steps up all the time and that's just making those decisions and it's pushing you guys forward, and you really support that and really trust each other with each other's decisions, but also question each other too. I mean, because one person trying to take care of 6 people is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, one person taking care of yourself is kind of difficult sometimes,
Yeah.
especially when you have your own gear, you got your own stuff that you have to keep track on. You shouldn't have to babysit it all ever in a band. So maturity goes a long ways at a band, and not being a child when it comes to a lot of the stuff, because you're going to have bad shows, you're going to have good shows, you're going to have a lot of bumps to road, you're going to have flat tires on the road, you're going to have equipment malfunctions, and
You're going to have people driving into semis.
Yeah, you're gonna have a van wreck.
and when bad stuff happens, you have to be prepared to really, remember why you're doing this, and is it all worth it?
Yeah.
It's up to you guys,
And I think that just takes, a strong friendship. Definitely, a lot of people that play in bands maybe think that friendship isn't the most important part, but you got to trust each other. You got to be able to take constructive criticism.
Yeah, you got to think you're
Yeah.
pretty much living
You guys are in a
together.
relationship, so.
Yeah. So I mean, you got to, you got to split it up at times. Some people have weak points and some people have their strong points, and what people feel the most comfortable doing is what you're going to have the best, results out of. So it's good to divide it that way and to trust each other, to take constructive criticism. A good leader is not someone who just says my way is right all the time. A good leader is someone who can take a step back and look at it like, maybe the way that I think this should happen isn't the best way, and I should just do what, trust in them to do what's right here and go along with it. And that is what helps, I think, build the real relationship and the trust with each other and the continuation forward.
They're open to adjustments.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So as far as leaders go, one of the things I noticed with each band is usually the first few members of the band will dictate what the sound of the band's going to be like when they start forming it. And they pull in members that have that taste in music. So, and the first thing most people go to is inspirations. So, who was the first members in this band?
It's probably me and Logan.
Okay, so the twinsies. If you guys haven't noticed, we got twins here. So, see if you can tell them apart, Logan and Mason. So
He's Mason.
Okay. Yeah, I see that. They pull tricks on me all the time with that because I can't tell them apart most of the time. So
It's great at shows. It's great at shows.
Oh, yeah. Oh, dude, wait. Just a quick side note. If I had $1 for every time, I'm the drummer, I'm Mason. If I had $1 for every time after the show somebody came up and said, "Oh, man, you guys are awesome. Like, you have the best vocals I've ever heard." And I don't even correct them anymore. I'm just like, yo, thank you. Like, thank you for the compliment. I appreciate it.
See, here's me hopping off the stage. I get off the stage discouraged because, nobody comes up to me and is like, "Hey, man, you guys are great." I guess no one just has anything to say to the drummer. And nobody says anything to me.
I'm just more sexy, let's be honest.
Some people watch our videos and they'll be like, "Is your singer also the drummer?"
Oh,
Well, they're kind of two halves of the same person, I guess.
We have two. There are two of us.
They're two
I just think
the
it's so
same
awesome.
person.
There's no other band I've ever been that's had twins like that.
Actually,
And
no,
it's-
wait. No, we did play with the band. We hosted a local fest, and we had a band on last year.
At the VFW in Bristol?
This one was actually at the Woodman. where
Okay,
they
We
were.
kind of go back and forth on those.
Yeah, we kind of go between both. First off, the VFW has treated us super well.
Okay.
I will say that. But this particular show was at the Woodman, and there was a band that had two twin guitarists, so of course we had to take a twin band pic selfie, because who wouldn't take a twin band pic selfie?
That's awesome.
It's on Facebook somewhere. Search for that. You'll find it.
Actually, I had a memory of that the other day.
Yeah, it's a little back, but it's there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about bass players for a second.
Oh.
All right. So Glenn Fricker from Spectre Media Group hates bass players. All right. And it's not that he hates bass players. He hates most bass players right now.
Okay.
I know that sounds kind of funny.
That,
It's like,
that doesn't help me.
well, what it is he thinks of most bass players. Well, I would have to agree with him on a lot of this. A lot of bass players are lazy. They get into it and they want to be on stage, but they don't practice their instruments near as much as a lot of the other instruments. What do you have to say to that?
You have to practice your instrument. Like, if you don't, yeah, you might be as good as the next person, but you're not going to be comfortable up there. And, if that doesn't apply to you when you're up there, it doesn't apply ever.
Yeah.
So you have to be the best at your craft you can be.
Okay.
So I mean, like, I had a long road coming into playing bass for the band. I started as the roadie.
Okay.
And he was a great roadie.
Transitioned on.
Yeah, I just kind of worked
Yeah,
at it. I've been
those
playing
monkey
bass
fuckers
for
and shit.
more than 10 years.
Yeah.
And just whenever I could, I wanted to pick it up and try to learn something.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I hate the lazy side of it.
Okay.
Like, people think bass is the easiest part. No, it's half of the
Yeah,
rhythm
I think a lot of people think
It is the easiest part.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just-
I can't hear you over here. I don't know what you said.
no, this guy really
So-
he practices more than like anybody that I've ever known
Yeah,
that's been a
I
bass
mean,
player.
Like I said, I'm not hating on you.
No, I understand it.
It's-
It's a very common
all the
misconception.
bass players
but
just go on.
They have to work with the drummer
Yeah.
a lot.
I was a
to
bass
make
player.
Sure,
So you play
'cause
more
that's
percussion
the
style bass.
backbone of the music.
Agreed.
Okay.
Is
See,
the drum and the bass.
I was a
It's
bass
the
player
backbone.
for the original band that we did. That was the pop punk band, and I was the stereotypical guy that you're talking about. That was like super lazy and never wanted to do anything. I carried some equipment, so like you
I
know,
mean,
That's what I
to
did.
be honest,
Started out.
I thought about it too. It's like, oh,
That's all I did.
play
starting
guitar
out,
for a
actually,
bit of years,
so-
and I was like, man, bass would be so awesome because I get to go up there and just headbang and jump up and down and off my ass off, and I don't even have to worry about messing up. It was
I
like,
wish.
it is super fun. He's not your stereotypical bass player though.
Awesome.
I mean, you'll catch him all the time with his earbuds in, playing his instrument. He's
cool.
yeah, he's
Yeah, well,
definitely
actually, when he first joined, so we used to share an apartment quite a while back. When Timmy first joined, or first got the idea of joining, he probably stayed at our house for about a week straight, and I don't think I ever saw him with
It
his
was
earbuds.
more than that.
It's probably about 2.
Yeah,
it
about
was, it was a
2
good
weeks
while.
straight.
Anyway, he had those earbuds in. I mean, 95% of the day, he quit to eat and pee, and that was probably
And
about
sleep.
it. And
Just a
sleep.
little bit.
He don't sleep though.
I really don't.
So he was
I feel you on the
very
nocturnal.
dedicated to practicing, very much so. He's a very dedicated member.
So, do you play with a metronome?
Sometimes.
Say I play with the drummer.
I play with him, and when I don't play with him, I play with a metronome.
Yeah.
So
Play with a
thing.
metronome will change your life, especially in the
Absolutely.
studio
Yeah.
tracking. Because you've probably ran into riffs before. They're just like, how is this riff match with this metronome? And
Yeah,
but yeah, take a practice on that for sure.
yeah, definitely.
So, how long did it take you to develop your bass tone? Because I've seen you guys live, and your bass tone is killer. I mean, it's really crushing.
It's kind of like 33.3, 33.3, 33.3 between me, Logan, and Cody, the
Okay.
guy that's not here right now.
Mhm.
Cody used to play bass in Star City Meltdown, who was pretty big, and he just kind of helped us out with direction of bass tone, kind of.
So, do you use any overdrive on your bass at all?
nope. No, we do not.
Okay, because I notice a lot of bands, including I think As I Lay Dying, they run a 6505 plus through their bass cab and through
I
their
have
bass
been
amp.
wanting
so-
to get into using dark glass electronics for my bass.
Okay.
But haven't been able to recently because the music video and everything going into that. I haven't been able to focus on the dark glass electronics. So, but eventually, I'm wanting to at least test it.
So, what do you have to say to all the lazy ass bass players out there that give you a bad name?
Shit. Trying to think of the nicest way possible to get off your ass.
Nah,
and work.
don't be nice about it. Just tell them.
just
Get
tell
off your
'em.
ass and work. Like, I mean, it takes hard work, and you have to be willing to put into it. If you're not, then you're not going to go anywhere with it.
Yeah. 'Cause
I
we
mean,
got-
I stuck it out with the grind. Like, I was
Yeah.
a bass player behind the scenes and a roadie on the scenes for 4 years.
Years, man, for real.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, this
at
guy's a
least
perfect
4 years.
example.
Like, I put in a lot more work than most people would have with this.
He's actually a drum tech on the side as well.
Oh, nice.
It's a little
So
side note
that's,
to
so that's some
anybody.
of the roadie tech going
Yeah,
in.
he
All
used
right,
to
so
help set the drums.
actually,
So,
that
like,
actually
just
brings
keep
up
working.
a really good question. What does a good roadie do?
Sets up drums.
Yeah.
That's all they need to
Sets up
do,
the
man.
drums.
Nothing
Yeah,
else.
right.
Does
That's
monkey
something that I don't
fuckers, too.
think I've ever seen.
All right,
on a-
so a good roadie will set up the drums, memorize every way that the drummer wants everything set up, and then they will have like, as far as guitars and bass goes, where everything goes, they'll have that memorized, and then they'll also do monkey fuckers,
Which you should demonstrate right now.
Oh,
We'll
shit.
do it. Oh,
Why
yes.
did I do that? Okay.
Yes.
So monkey fuckers. It's
What
a
the
thing
fuck
that I
is
went-
monkey
I'm wondering the same
You
thing.
don't want to know. You don't
What
want to
is
know.
this?
It's a thing I went through during roadie boot camp.
Oh,
Roadie boot camp.
Okay.
And,
I wish we'll have an episode called Roadie boot
I
camp.
actually
Just break nothing but roadies in
There
it.
you go.
Sugar Hollow Park in Bristol, Virginia. Broke a trash can because I was doing monkey fuckers on them.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see him.
Please tell
And
us.
the monkey funker.
Funker.
Let me get level.
You're good.
You're good. You're good. Take it away.
Good.
Okay.
Get
All
that.
right, so a monkey fucker, you grab your ankles
Okay.
and you just.
But you
What
also
the
have
fuck
to
are
spell
you-
the band name.
No, what the hell is this?
Spell some shit.
Yeah.
It's-
No,
it's-
no.
it's
What do
on
you mean
who's
you have to
making
spell some
spell
shit?
You just
Yeah, you know what you go on.
STAN. Yeah, that was for the old band standing at the summit. I used to have to do those on top of trash cans while spelling the band name.
Now, was this some kind of like initiation or some shit for the?
In a way.
Yeah, kind
In a
of.
way.
But at the same time, I was doing like cab deadlifts. Like we kind of,
Oh, so you're like you're like
Combined-
working out.
Yeah,
like you're
yeah.
lifting okay.
and that was part of the cardio, which sucked ass. No one likes
Oh, my cheeks
cardio.
hurt, dude.
But yeah, just keep working. No
Come
matter
back
the
to it, just
shit
keep
you have to
working.
go through.
That's all you have to say
No matter
after
the
that.
shit, the hell, like
So-
just stick it out.
What the fuck is with the roadies that stand around waiting for orders? Like, I cannot stand that when people come to help me on set, or if I have to sit there and tell them every little thing to do, I don't need them there.
Yeah.
That they're actually slowing me down. I mean, if I can do it just as fast as telling them, I can. I'll have it done. Typically, when I need help, or if I need a roadie or a PA or something on set, they need to be able to look and find and know what needs to be done. If the
suck.
trash needs to be taken out, or something needs to be plugged up, or if they say, "Hey, what needs to be done?" I'm like, "What the fuck? Take a look at it. Look at the set. Look at the
look what's wrong with the
stage,
picture.
What has been checked off the
And
checklist."
Find what's wrong with it and fix it.
Yeah.
Like, if you're looking around like, what do I do? You suck.
Yeah. Well, you heard him.
Point blank.
If you're looking around and you're like, "What do I do?" You suck. I like that. That sounds like a pretty good T-shirt. We should
There you
make
go.
something like that.
That'll be the next Arm the Witness show.
Noted.
There you go.
Gotcha, man. So, we're getting ready to show you guys an acoustic performance. What song are we gonna be playing?
Paralyzed.
Paralyzed.
It's
Awesome.
off of our original E EP.
Nice.
Yeah.
Actually, I've
AKA
actually heard that, but I've
Paralizzle.
never
Before
heard
half
acoustic
the band
before.
was
So
a part of this.
I'm interested to hear this. This is gonna be really cool. So make sure you stick around. And this is Paralyzed.
Let me start off by stating that I'm not perfect, God knows I try. Let me clear up all before we sink further. Reopen the door to the truth. One God, one love, one way, one truth, one light. One God, one love, one way, one truth, one light. Set your right aside. Love God, love others, keep a level head. Gotta find a way to stop calling his name. If we uncover the roots, we can get back to the way it was supposed to be. We continue to fight our own breed while the hourglass goes thin for the day. We're all to placing pride above his will, bringing judgment on his name. We're all to play the scars that make us stand. We're all to play. And why can't you just love in my name? Be the lie that they say. 'Cause can't you just love in my name and be the light that they say? 'Cause if it's true that actions speak more words, why can't you just love in my name, be the light that they say? 'Cause if it's true that actions speak more words, why are we